What's up, guys? I'm Kaziem, and today we're going to be talking about the trials, tribulations, and 46 matches that is playing in the Vanarama North. Alright, so let's get right into it. First thing I want to touch on is this is definitely not my first team. This is a journeyman save that I started. I came to Warrington last season, mid-October-ish, early in the fall. We did okay. We finished, I think, 15th. I can check that. Yeah, 15th. So that was after getting washed out at Landvetter IS in Sweden's second tiered, Division 2 Vostra Gotaland. It's like the fourth division in actuality. They were nice enough to give me a job, even if I didn't keep it. And today we are here in the Vanarama North League. Warrington was recently promoted when I took the job in 2023, late 2023. So I think we've done well to put ourselves into fourth place right now. We had a really strong start to the season. And as often happens in these leagues, you tend to hit injuries and fatigue and big problems with depth because you're broke. You're almost always broke. When I say broke, I mean we have money. They just won't let me do anything with it. I've asked many times for more payroll, more transfer budget. It gets declined. I've asked to go from semi-pro to professional, also gets declined. I've won us up to, I believe it was the big highlight of the season was us getting to, I believe it was the second round of the FA Cup. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to go look. Let's go find out. Competitions, FA Cup, FA base. Domestic leagues, national league, FA Cup. Yeah, second round. So we made it through one really crazy opponent and drew with our second. It was Newport County. They obviously beat us in the draw, so we got a little bit of money off that. As you can see, that got put into the club, not a small amount of it. We also had a takeover that just did not help us in the slightest. I prefer the guy we had before. He was really nice, and even though he couldn't do much for me, I think we're too late. That's just kind of where we were. But our big problem this season has and continues to be depth. We actually had to break a promise, so let's get into that. Promises in this lower league are much less impactful than any other like situation. If you're in a big team, this was a promise that was like to 10 some odd people in the team. I failed it because I didn't realize, and what they did to me was they asked in the later part of March, they asked me to do transfer business. You just don't have time. It doesn't exist. There is no time. You got a deadline. So I had like 2 weeks to bring in a center back, but again, we go back to I got no money. So it's funny because this was like all success a second ago, before the takeover and before Connor Reed came in. I really don't like that guy. So let's go ahead and push forward. We're gonna look at Boston United. One of the things that we've done here, and the only reason we came back to form, as you see, we took, what is that, 7 straight losses in a row. The only reason we brought this back was because right around here I changed slightly the tactics, but the main thing I did was I started running very specific training schedules that are like only for recovery purposes. So I made this, and I made a mixed light, and I balanced between these lighter weight training platforms because semi-pro is rough. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So you go in here, you put a match practice, you put defending, you put team bonding, you put defending, you put match tactics. Like you do all of this in a week, and then you slot 2 matches in because it's a 46 match schedule. So you're playing a lot of games. Now I think there's about a month extra of playtime on there, but that's that should be 4 games, it's actually like 6 or 8 or whatever the number is, eight extra games in a month. So the average is a much higher if you're used to doing higher league teams like Premier League. So a lot of this comes down to, this is really rough. And this is the lightweight one. The amped one, this was killing my players. They were just dead. It'd be very nice to like get maximum development out of your players, but this is just not feasible. Your injury risk, your condition, your fatigue are just outlandish with it. So when you get later parts of the season and you're having issues like dragging your players from game to game because you, like we do, have serious depth issues and you're like scratching for anyone to play whenever you have any kind of injury, consistently having to like rest players and things like that, the recovery will lower the number of players you have to rest. It'll also improve the familiarity because match tactics aren't incredibly like strenuous. So putting them on match tactics, putting them on team building, community things, all of that's good because it can be combined with rest to give them non-work weeks that are just matches. It's not the greatest for their performance. It's not the greatest for their development for sure. But at these lower leagues, I'm going to guess about 80% of these players are gone next season. So right now we're going to look to push towards the end of the season. We've got 4 or 5 more games left. And if we can win all of them, I believe we can still somehow, maybe, sort of. It's 3 games. So if we win all of them, I think we can maybe take the league. Right now, we're looking pretty secure for a playoff position. It would take quite a feat to see this usurped in 3 games. They would basically have to win all 3. Yeah, let's go ahead and push forward then. So yeah, we're back on normal training because these later games are spread out quite a bit more. As you see, we get a double week here. We're gonna skip that. They haven't told me anything useful in a team meeting for a while. This fucking guy. You're gonna blame me? I was trying to be nice. Yeah, you were put in a position to succeed. You didn't. That's on you. Stop blaming me for unironically trying to get you back in the squad and like not the lost cause center back when we need center backs. I've had to go from playing 5 at the back to playing 4 at the back. 5 at the back with a really low line and like a really high block was incredibly effective. In this league, it's kind of weird because you want to just take possession and send the ball forward. You want as many chances on goal as you possibly can get. You want to put as much pressure on the other side as possible. And as it may sound, you're definitely going to cause injury issues. You're going to increase the intensity, et cetera, by doing that. So it's got to be a balance. You've got to be a little clever about how you do it. And again, depth issues, wage issues, all of these things combine to make it pretty much pressing the button forward at this point in the competition. We're just hoping for a good result. We're not expecting any crazy development on any of our players. We don't have the facilities. We don't have the staff for it. We've got decent staff. I think we have the best staff in the league, basically, because I'm proactive with the staff. And yeah, I need another physio. That would be great. The physios I have aren't that good. I need to put another ad out. So, play Boston United, hope for a win. These last 3 matches are going to decide the fate of the team. I may end up looking for a new job after this. I kind of want to get us promoted. I want that on the resume. I'm very worried about the money once we get on the other side, but I want to do it. All right, we got youth intake, and it's not too bad, actually. I'm unironically impressed with that. You get a contract, buddy. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand attribute growth or development. Really, I'm still fairly new to the game. Cool, we got all those guys. Boston United. Jimmy Knowles is about to set a record, or did set a record. Did he set a record? One more, and Knowles has it. I've had a really well split team this season. Everybody's putting in work. Everybody's been pretty good. We've been averaging high sixes on our ratings. From a standpoint, we don't really have anybody that stands out too much. Yeah, see, this is my preferred setup, which is basically this setup, but slightly one less midfielder, and they're spread out different. It's the only difference when you compare that to that. It's the only difference. That's fun. I didn't know this existed. And I transition a lot from air quotes formation to formation. I'll play against formations as we go. Yeah, so you see our most successful stuff is in the 5-2-3 type scenario, 5-3-2 type scenario, 5-1-1-3 type scenario. This has been very, very effective for us. This whole block, a whole group of formations is what caused us to win so much early on. Just this right here is when you put this on in a very low line, you put this on a high block, so everybody's just pressing up the field that's not a defender, and the defenders are way back here dropping off all the time. You stretch out the opposition team in a way that will undoubtedly create mismatches on the other side of the pitch. So when you go and transition from your side of the pitch, you get defense to take the ball. You get one of your big 6'4" guys to go and dink the ball off to midfielder. That midfielder is just going to shoot the ball forward. He doesn't care if he actually makes his guy even. The reality is, if you throw the ball forward, it's likely to bounce off somebody, land at one of your guys' feet because you have a mismatch. Boom, goal. And yeah, we'll go. Let's go look at an example of this off of a corner from a game or two ago. Let's find my schedule here. So they're gonna get a free kick, and watch what happens. So note, my defense is still not sure whether they should go back forward. But at this point, we've got Bucklet Ricketts III rushing forward. These are two pressing forwards here. So they're always going to be pushing against it doesn't matter what the situation is. They just kind of always press. They're always going to be pushing up the field. So when you run this wide spread here, yeah, they don't have any support, but they also don't have any defenders on them. And these defenders are not going to be fast enough to track back. So let's watch that now. Just an absolutely wonderful goal. Absolute top-class counter-attacking football off of a set piece, and we capitalize about 15 minutes later again, win the game. This was a comeback story too. We were down at that point, so a lot of it's about momentum and building up the right kind of players and picking the right kind of players to do exactly what you just saw on the screen. And let's take a look at that now. So players, Buckley Ricketts, he's fast. To put it simply, 14 pace in this league is insane. Natural fitness of 15, also insane. Work rate's not bad, off the ball's not horrible, technique's good, his dribbling's good. This is what you're looking for. You want high acceleration, high pace, decent stamina. Balance is helpful, work rate's really important. You want these guys to be able to go from midfield to the box in a matter of seconds. You want them to be able to do it 100 times a game. Unironically, about 100 times a game. So that's one example. Pilling is another. Tall doesn't hurt either, but it's not a requirement. Pilling is sitting on 10 goals this season. He has 11 pace, 15 fitness, 12 acceleration, 13 work rate. All of these guys are going to look the same. Composure is also huge. So our last striker, we're going to look at Knowles. Knowles is probably my star if you want to look at it from that perspective. Easily my best player. he is the most well-rounded in this regard. He looks just ever so slightly better than Bucky Ricketts, aside from the pace being a little bit lower. So I'm a big fan of Buckley Ricketts. He's one of my favorite players. He was here last season. He helped us stay in 15th. So big dubs to him. So then the next thing to look at, and fullbacks, wingbacks, whatever you want to call them. Kentongo's also one of my favorite, bestest players. Has a pretty raucous amount of goal contributions this season. For how much he's played, he hasn't played as much as I would like him to have. It's kind of one of those things where I'll put him on and then he'll come off because he's so worn down. But he has appeared 35 times. And he's my only real option at left back. So stamina, yeah, it's a little weak. Pace, also want high pace. You want good acceleration, insane work rate if you can get it. I get his work rate's a little low. It could be better, but work rate's important. So, yeah. Wingbacks are kind of big. I don't actually have a proper wingback on the right. My normal guy that goes in here, where's he at? Ledger. Here we go. Yeah, this guy. Not very fast. Not really the things you're looking for in the wingback. The reason he's like sustainable is this teamwork. He does the tactic. He has, what is that, 8 assists. So it's a pretty good number. He's generated quite a bunch of XG. And then the reason for that is explicitly he can play the tactic. He's probably the best at the tactic. He's not as fast, not as like potent as I would prefer. Defenders, yes. So we are at the absolute bare minimum number of defenders in reality. You want jumping reach. You want tall. You want big. You want... If pace is nice, but it's not a requirement. This guy is amazing, by the way. Strength is also important, but you just want to be able to win the ball in front of the goal. Tackling, kind of important. You're obviously going to want it as a defender, but main thing that you're going for on these guys is jumping reach, height, and even positioning. Positioning's pretty good too. Decisions is really good. Decisions will keep them from conceding stupid goals, in my experience. So that's a big part. He's also traditionally in that category. He came with the team. He's been okay. He was the one that was just complaining. He's probably not going to make it through the summer. I am not looking to develop him. I'm looking to replace him. So that's the basics of the team. I'm not going to lie. The central midfielders, you're much less concerned about. They aren't as important. You want to fill out with the best playmakers you can. So vision, all the things that are just highlighted for whatever roles you're using. Right now I'm using this kind of half diamond, is how it functions. The deep lying playmaker and the Carolero will typically use Jenkins as a middleman. He almost functions as a more forward player than what he sits in this setup. So the deep lying playmaker is gonna, and he's actually normally on defend, which isn't his greatest attributes. So, but anyway, so normally the deep lying playmaker will sit on defense and he will pass it to the shuttler. The shuttler will send it off either forward or to the flank where Jenkins will be. He'll be in this half flank area here. We never really use the flanks. Bucklet will make runs out that way every so often, but typically it's not how we score goals. The wings are going to, in this league, put you up against the best defenders that you're going to run up against with the highest tackling, the best bid. They're going to be able to catch pretty much anybody you've got up here because they're going to be just about as fast. They're going to be more oomphy. They're going to be bigger boys that do bigger things and are a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Robusto. They are a little more robusto. So this is the setup. This is obviously the 4-back setup. The 5-back setup looks like this. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. It doesn't change. Like we're not really changing anything. We're still a very highly structured, counter-attacking, hard press, big spread football team. We're doing that at every step of the way. We do not want to create inside runs. We aren't looking to have magic dribbly boys do the dribble thing. It's just high intensity. Put as much pressure on the bad guy as you can until you can secure a goal, and then secure more goals than they do, stop more goals than they do, and you will win the game. Downsides obviously are the intensity is incredibly high. It's just incredibly high. You will have to do better with depth than I did during this last transfer window. So let's see if we can get a automatic promotion, maybe a playoff spot, and see where we go from there. All right, and we're back, and we're prepping for our game against Boston United, third to last game in the season. We're looking to win this. We're playing with our tactics. I should have done this earlier in the week, but I was videoing, and I'm not used to videoing while playing. So bear with me, guys. We're going to get this sorted, and we're going to see where we're at. We're going to go ahead and we'll keep dribbling less on for these guys. We want to focus on passing. I'm going to stay fairly narrow, pass into space. Let's go over the tactic itself a little bit. So we're still loaded up in the 4-3-3 narrow. It's not my favorite setup for dealing with being down a defender. We could theoretically put Ledger in and solve that problem, but I want to keep the depth. We got 3 more games to go, and if we get a playoff spot, we want to be able to play in the playoffs, and we don't want everybody dead. Playoffs are a lot more congested, if I'm not mistaken, than a regular season. So we're going to stay at 4 defenders, nurse that wound, not rely on finishing top of the season, because I don't know that it's going to happen. We still have a bit of work to do there, and could just be denied it outright if the other teams obviously win all 3 of their matches. Starting our normal setup up top. These have been pretty reliable. Occasionally we'll slap Matty Grabasti in there. He's been very good for us. We owe him a contract at the end of the season. Katonga is going to start for us today. I'm going to put Ledger in on right back so that we have a proper player there. Gums can be my support on the bench. We're going to go ahead and put, I'm thinking, Matthew McDonald in for our Metzala today. He's very good in the position. For some reason, he performs much better than Will Jenkins does in it. Will Jenkins was somebody I picked up specifically to play Metzala, and he's just disappointed in all that sense. Hasn't developed like expected. So we're going to go ahead and drop him for the day. We're also going to look to get Connor Woods in, but I've had a hard time playing him anywhere but up front when we aren't wide like we were a little bit wider at the start of the season. I think we'll let Will Jenkins Gums. Yeah, I think that'll be our bench today. Oh, I can't wait to get Ash McCarthy back. 4 days left. We should be fine on putting him in. He is my only fallback at left back and will allow us to spread back out if we choose to. We can put Buckley Ricketts over here on the right, and we can put Ash over here on the left, and we are good to go. We can then run a 5-2-4 or a 4-2-4 setup, as it were. 5-1-4, excuse me. There's only one way to do 5-1-4, obviously, and that's pulling the fullbacks up to be wingbacks, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Boston United have been playing very reservedly this season, so we're going to go ahead and go up to positive for this game, and we're going to kind of leave it there. Positive's been working for us, and I've been using that in the last few games that have been how we've come back into contention for the potential title. We're going to keep the high press. We're going to keep the low line today. We're not going to drop that any further. We're not going to raise it any further. We are going to keep step up more on today. They like to shoot from outside the box in my experience, and when I've played them, they've scored a couple ridiculous goals from outside the box. So we're going to prevent that. We've got counter on. We're going to skip counter press today. Again, this is just playing the team that you're playing. If we go and look at their tactics, we don't want to counterpress this. If we're trying to counterpress these guys, they're going to hold the ball better than we're able to take it, and they're just going to wear us out. We're going to let them keep playing that 7 defender setup, and we're just going to kind of try to capitalize on the fact that they don't have people forward, and we can run forward at the back very, very safely. We're actually, I realize now that the reason he was in support earlier in the video is because I changed that specifically for this game. We're going to be looking to press on the left side more than anything else. So we're also going to go ahead and put my guy Kentongo here. And it may seem weird, but we're actually going to put him in a more reserved setup. We're going to put him in no-nonsense fullback, just like Ledger is. And what this is going to do is it's going to cause them to function more like 4 center backs. We could have inverted a winger. A fullback, but I'm not going to do that. This works for what I want. I want this no nonsense fullback to just focus on defense. I don't need any more attack strength up here. So when I say I positionally play against the teams, this was my positional play against the last team, but also Boston United, because they use a similar setup. I'm playing the bottom of the table, so let's see how this goes. We're gonna go get into the match, and we'll talk about it as we go. And we're gonna encourage our attackers to give us an edge, and that just kind of get them started off right. If you're gonna give a boost to anybody, getting a goal is the best way. Getting goals is the best way to win in these leagues. Defense helps, but it's only to the point that you use it to frustrate the goal making ability of your enemy enough to offset your obvious woeful failure to be good being in these leagues to begin with. So they're better than I ever will be in real life, but in the game this is the bottom for a reason. All right, we're off. Good tackle. Another upside of the pressing forwards is with how flat stats are, or attributes rather, with how flat attributes are when you are in this little sliver of everybody's got 12 pace or 8 pace or somewhere in between, and everybody's got 12 tackling or 8 tackling, and even your forwards are going to have something of every stat. So there's not like the big gap where when you're in the Premier League, your attacking player has 12 of a stat compared to 18 with the rest of the players. That's a 50% difference, right? So I feel like there's something to be said for the tier being a little more luck based, like that's bad. Tommy Pilling was just fine. Why you gotta kill him? Is he gonna be okay? Does it show he's got a knock? I don't see it. It doesn't look like it. But we'll take the penalty. So again, very aggressive. If you're in that position, I mean, we missed, so it's not a downside to play for the penalty even. And kind of speaks to what I'm talking about, because that wouldn't have happened in the Premier League. That was a fairly soft touch. Shape looks good. We're going to have a hard time creating mismatches against this many guys. So notice how many guys we still have back. So if you look, we got all this back here. There's no counter attacking for them. They're going to play into more defenders than they have support. So even if all 3 of these guys go back right now because they see this cross is going awry, this guy's marked already. This guy's getting picked up here. This guy's going to get picked up by all 3 of them before he's halfway out the box. So yeah, high pressure, high intensity. We're only 11 minutes in. We've already had 3 highlights. Let's see what we're on for highlights. I think we're on extended. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to key highlights. for these videos. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch every time they kick the ball around. Sometimes it's informational. I typically stay on extended because I like the games to last a little longer and to have more time to analyze what's happening in the match. This tool from the Working the Space UI is very useful for that. It gives you an idea of how much you're able to press. Notice we're pretty high on that mark on that board right now. Ooh, that was a good go. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, good job. Oh, that was a classy attempt. Normally I want him to make like 3 more passes, and then I have to remind myself, no, he's got a like 0.3 xg right there that's just waiting to be picked up. Take it. There's no reason not to. And I mean, we've not converted yet, but we're already over an xg. Bang, and there it is. I was just talking about it. That was a 0.1-ish xg chance. And you just want to convert as many of those over as you can. The more of them you convert over, the more goals you score. We're at 10 shots. I've had games where I've had 30, 40 shots in a game. And it's kind of weird when you get to the end. Yeah, the on target percentage is dog ass, but you scored 3 goals and you won the game, and that's all that matters at this league. You don't care about development, you don't care about ratings, you don't care about anything but going to the next level, up above you, firing basically everybody, rehiring better people, and you may have to take a season to do that. That's kind of the net result of it. We are actually playing Sweeper Keeper. I've heard a lot of complaints about it. It has cost me, from what I can tell, 0 goals the last 2 seasons. My goalkeeper's really good at it, to be fair. He has all of the things you want at this level for it. His punching is the one thing that kind of suffers. He won't punch as often, but I don't like punching anyway. And as you'll see, not only is it like the better number on the screen, but when you look at the things that matter for the position, off the ball isn't one of them, right? Like, you want positioning, you want vision, you want decision making. These are all incredibly good stats. And what it's done is it's improved his development. This is the only player that I care about developing in the entire team. It is Bradley James, my goalkeeper. Best player on the team by far. I only mentioned Knowles earlier because he's an outfield player, right? This guy could be my goalkeeper all the way through the Vanarama League and into league football. He could be my backup in League 2. So let's see if we can make that happen. I don't think we got anything to change here, so let's just go do... Let's give it a good thrilly one. Start the second half. Let's go. Feeling really good about this. Normally I do not have more than about 35% possession, so playing at 55 is absolutely insane to me. And part of that's being in the 4-back setup. The 4-back setups always get better possession, and it's because they're moving the ball more. It's pretty straightforward. They have the ball more because they're moving the ball more because there's an extra midfielder in 9 out of 10 cases. So overloading the midfield is not very effective, but still doesn't hurt, right? Like, it's not going to work like it does for a Man City in the Premier League, where they can run like a 3-1-6 or a 4-2-4 with a rotating diamond in it. These setups won't work here because these guys just won't play it. They won't even try to. They want to kick ball, and when they kick the ball and that happens, you're good. That's what you want. If you try to get them to do more complicated things than that, more complicated than defend for ball, put ball forward, shoot ball, they're just not going to get it. They're going to miss the point. Now let's get a little example of this. Let's watch my Metzala here. He's where he's supposed to be right now, and then he passes it. He doesn't have the ability to play through like that, and he's in the right spot, but he's also too central. He's basically playing where an advanced playmaker might play in this case. Yeah, let's just let him keep winning. I'm all good with the winning. So yeah, we're still playing very far forward. This tool is super useful. It's kind of difficult and confusing to read at first. Basically, the average of where your players are at is the dots, and the heat map is where they've been relative to the actual pitch. So this is like an average position, and this is the overall heat map of where they've been through the whole game. Notice that we're really overloading on this right side today. And I would say that's because they're pushing the right side, not because we are. Very, very simple, straightforward set pieces. There's 3 corner attacks, for example. 1 near post, 1 far post, and 1 that's designed to be preventative for bigger teams that can just counterattack my face off. So that one gets rotated in. I love a way to just have that one as a button where I press the button and it goes to that one instead. Don't think that's a thing. We'll find out at another time. But it's meant for, like, say I'm playing in a FA Cup match and I'm taking a corner and I'm playing against like a League One team. They're able to just counterattack effortlessly on me. Got Kintonga with the ball to McDonald. Knowles picks it up into the midfield. We've created a mismatch. Bucklet Ricketts on the outside, and Bucklet Ricketts scores from the middle of the box. Good job. We are running wild on these guys. Looks like we might have a record broken too. Did Pilling break it? Or Knowles? That's what we're going to have to figure out at the end. Buckley Ricketts might have broke it too. That might have been 16 for him as well. They're all really close to it. I kind of like having like 3 relatively close strikers to each other that all have, you know, similar outcomes. And again, there's nothing we can really do to stop being conceded on. Like we're gonna have to concede. It's just part of the way that non-league functions, and it helps to do subs. I guess I should do that. Let me get that. Let's get Jenkins in. I'm gonna pull him off for Gums, and then swap Gums. Gums can stay. Thought one of these guys could play that. There it is. Yeah. And we'll just finish the game out like this. We got 5 minutes left. This should be a big W. I'm going to go ahead and sim the next game. It should also be a fairly comfortable win. Not sim. I'm going to do it off camera. And I will come back for the last game of the season, and we'll find out if we're going to get promoted or if we're going to playoffs. Because I'm pretty sure this will secure our playoff position. I don't think that we can be caught at this point by the last team in the list. Like I said, we would really have to bottle it not to get playoffs. Well done. Playoffs are booked. That's what it just said. Let's go. So we just secured our playoff position. Yeah, they can't catch us. It's impossible. We're 2 points off of the top. We brought the season back. So let's see if we can figure it out. Let's see. Doth was good. Doth was somebody I brought in. When I looked at him, this was 4.5 stars. Brought him in at 31. He's been amazing. He's an incredible leader for the team, and I might end up bringing him back in for another season next season. He is the oldest person in the club. Last season we had some whoo-wee old boys. We set a record See if it's in here. Oldest player, Peter Clark, 42 years and 108 days. He was playing center back for me. And he wasn't bad. I am no front about it. He was all right. We might bring him back in as a coach at some point, but he's just so god-awful. I don't know that I can justify it. Those coaching numbers are just very bad. They're not worth really looking at. The okay support skills, but just awful coaching stats. That and this doesn't match anything I do, really. Yeah, this isn't how I do set pieces, but okay. Anyway, not important. Yeah, so we played the oldest player in the league. And we played him quite a bit. He also scored a goal in that process and became the oldest goal scorer in the Vanarama National League North, which is hilarious to me. Leadership support's looking good. I really don't like this guy, though. I want him gone. Yeah, so here's the promise. We talked about this a little bit. There were 10 players that were down with this, including all 3 of my scorers, all 3 of my midfielders, and most of my defenders. It doesn't seem to have been that bad. The promises don't seem anywhere near as impactful as last time. And with that, there was some weirdness with promises that I had where M's and I don't see him. I don't think he's with the team anymore. Well, another player, I had made them promises, fulfilled the promises. It said green, promise good. And then they're like, you're playing me in a weak position. The promise was to play you in the position you wanted. What are you talking about? So, yeah, that was a bit odd. So we got Banbury and Southport. These should be pretty comfortable wins. Let's get on into Banbury. And we're on real stuff now. We want to win here if we can. We don't want to have to play in the playoffs. If at all possible, we want to be able to... We want to just win it outright. We want to win the title. We want to win and get promoted without having to go and do any other games. If we can do that, we're much better position. Adding another, I think, 5 games to this, and they start less than a week after the last is really rough. All right, we're starting to get our youngins in. Our youth boys are signing. Oh, this is so nice. I'm not gonna lie, just talking about it. Promise figured out. Yeah. I guess hiring the youth was enough for him. Like, we hire a bunch of youth players in, and he's like, let's go, bro. I didn't know that would count. I was waiting for the youth intake. I kind of screwed up the youth intake. I didn't know what I was looking at. I'm not going to lie. I'm still pretty new to these games. I've played 23 for maybe a couple hundred hours. I didn't know what I was looking at. I only picked up, like, the top guys that I thought might eventually be in my main team, and... No, you gotta pick quite a few of them up. I did this time. So, alright. I am gonna get us into this last game here. I'll let you know how Banbury United goes. I think we've kind of established that the tactics work, what they are, how they function. I've been using them the whole season, just with minor modifications here and there, so it doesn't really count it in the tools. And we're gonna go from there. We're gonna see if we can win this league. And... if we win the league and get promoted, there's a whole nother mess of non-league issues to look at. What's up, guys? Kaziem here. Thanks for watching. Check out the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe comment if you're feeling down. You can find the next video over here. Or maybe over here. I never know which direction it's going to be. It's in the frame. Find the video. Go watch it.